with the warbirds for today's video, and we're going to take the Hurricane for a blast. This is by Aeroplane Heaven. Look at that engine. That engine is very nicely detailed. So while you're on the ground, you can take all the engine cowlings off, have a good look at the Rolls-Royce, which they have, the Rolls-Royce Merlin, which they have meticulously detailed. We're parked up at an Allied airbase in France, northern France, called Croulet. We'll do a cold start, take off, do a few manoeuvres in it, head out to the coast. We'll meet up with, hopefully meet up with a Lancaster and escort that for a little bit. Do some formation flying with some other Hurricanes and see what she's like to land after that. Provided it doesn't get too dark, that is, because it's early evening now in France. But I've been flying it for a little while now, and it's growing on me, if I'm honest. I wasn't that impressed with it at first, but it is starting to grow on me. It's definitely not up to the spec of the flying irons, like the Spitfire and the 109, but it's pretty good. Yeah, there's areas where it's not quite up to their standards, but there's enjoyment factor. It is a lot of fun to fly. It's easier to fly than those ones. I don't know whether that is accurate to real world, whether the Hurricane was much easier to fly than the Spitfire and the 109, but certainly a lot easier to take off and land. You can see the panelling open on the wing there as well, so you can see where they load the ammunition in. So it's quite nicely detailed. There's just little bits where it lets it down, like on the tail there and on the wheels. See the bits of fuselage that cover the wheels. I think they could have put a bit more effort into those. The engine's lovely though, as you can see. Right, let's get inside, have a look at it on the inside. So this is the inside. It's quite a busy cockpit, there's a lot going on inside it. The variant that we're in today is the restored Hurricane, so it's a modern Hurricane that's been restored. And because of that, it is the only one, because there are lots of different variants you can use, it's the only one where you can flip this switch and have a modern sat-nav and autopilot, should you wish to use it. All the others, that switch doesn't work. Because they're obviously not restored aircraft, they're the originals. So I'll flip that back off, put it back on the gun sight. See what I spoke about earlier, where you can see where the ammunition goes into the guns there. And to pop that panel back on, and to take it off in the first place, you just press this gun trigger here and it just pops back on. And obviously, as you saw, I don't know if you'll see it from here. Oh, I can't quite stretch far enough. See, the engine covers are off. They just get placed on the wing. And to put them back on, there's a click spot just here. And off they fly by magic. And you can just about tell they're back on now there, look. So the cockpit itself, I think, is quite nicely detailed. If I lean in a little bit with head tracking. Most of the gauges work as well, which is quite nice. It is a very, very tight cockpit, which is accurate. There wasn't much space at all in the Hurricane. If I just close the canopy a second, you'll see what I mean if I can find it. There it is. Right, so sat in the position I would be in, which is about there. You can see how close my head is. I mean, there, look, I'm going, leaning out the window there, just by moving my head a little bit. So it's a lot tighter than the other cockpits of the day. So open the canopy back up, ready for pre-start. So that is the cockpit. And yeah. It's not too bad. I'd say it's better than most of the warbirds, but not quite as good as the ones that come from Flying Iron. So it's in the mid. It's a mid-range one. You can see there's just a few bits of detail in there a bit. And my graphic settings are on quite low, but even still. But let's start it up. What's that over there? Is that P51? Oh, it's got REF colours on it. Another Hurricane maybe? It's a bit far away to tell. There are some P51s here, I think. I'm sure I saw one earlier. It's a bit of a mixed bag of aircraft here. Let's get it going. Okay, so rattling through the pre-flight checks. First thing you're going to do is check your parking brakes engaged. The handle for it is here, and the pressure gauge for it is down the bottom here. So you're looking for the needles to be pointing downwards. If I just flick it off for a second, if they're pointing upwards, the the parking brake, keep calling it handbrake, parking brake is not engaged. So once you check that, you're going to check the flight control surfaces. Just make sure they function freely. And operating as they should. Good. And the rudder controls. Lovely. Once that's done, check that your power is set to ground. This switch here, in the forward position, you move it back to flight once you take off. And what that gives you, I don't think you'll be able to see it from in the cockpit. That's probably going to be under the wing. If I just jump outside for a second. Gives you this power cart here. Connects up to the underside and provides us with power. Now you get a different power cart for each different model of the Hurricane. So depending on which model you're flying, you'll get different modelled and textured power cart. Okay, once that's done, check that your mags are all off. You've got 3 magnetos. The engine magnetos 1 and 2, and then your starter magneto over here on the right. All off, good. Then we're going to check our gauges. Gauges on the left are oxygen. We are not going to be using them at all, so we're not worried about them, but you just check and make sure they function, make sure that they're not cracked, etc, etc. And then you've got a clock down there, which you can obviously set if you wish to, but we're just going to leave it as is. Then you've got the regular 6 steam gauges in the middle there. You're just checking that they're all undamaged. Everything appears to be as it should be. There's nothing massively out of place, indicating there was a problem on landing. And then to the right, you've got all the engine gauges. So you've got your RPM at the top there, your boost, oil and fuel pressure, oil and fuel temp underneath, and then finally your fuel underneath that. So all gauges look good. Next, check that the fuel selector is set to off, which is this one here. Off is over to the left. The bit with the thumb holes, like the pointy end. So this is just a weight, the red bit. So if it's in that position, it's on. That position, it's on reserve, which we use for takeoff. That position is off, so it wants to be off on pre-flight. And then check the flaps are in neutral, which is over here on the right. Yeah, all in neutral, that's good. And then check that the prop is all the way back. This one here, the RPM prop. The throttle's all the way back. You can't do anything with the mixture, it just sits in rich. If I move it now, look, it'll just pop straight back to rich, no matter what you put it in. So that is a modelling error. So that's pre-flight done, ready for takeoff. Okay, time to get started. So first thing we're going to do is gear indicator light, this switch here. You'll see we've now got 2 greens showing as the gears down. Next we're going to calibrate our compass and our altimeter. The altimeter is this one here, which is already calibrated, and then the compass, if I just move the yoke for a second, or I've just taken the parking brake off, you basically just spin the bezel around the outside to whichever direction you want. So for example north, and that's the locking pin at the back, but we're not going to be using that today. Pop the parking brake back on. Next we set the fuel to the reserve tank, ready for takeoff. Set the mixture to rich, which will as I said before, it's a bit of a fault. It will just sit enriched no matter what you have it on. Crack the throttle slightly. This one here doesn't have to be much. You don't want to be too much, otherwise you go flying. It'll push past the parking brake, and then RPM lever fully forward, high pitch. Next, turn on your engine magnetos 1 and 2, and your starter mag number 3. Next, we're going to unlock the primer, which is down here. Now this is a bit tricky. Oh, I've gone straight on it there. This is the primer at the top, but this is the lock for the primer. There you go. You see, it's, I'm making it look easy, but it is quite a hard click spot to find the unlock for the primer. Loads of people have said online that they can't prime it because when you click this and it's not unlocked, nothing happens. What you need to do is find the click spot below it. You'll see it spin. Now it's unlocked, and then it will pump. I don't think it actually does anything because I've managed to take off without priming it and over priming it, so I don't think it's properly modelled. And that's it, locked again. So when you click on it, nothing happens. So that in theory is us primed. Next we're going to open the radiator vent. Now handle for that is here. Essentially it's the big radiator on the bottom of the plane, allows air into the engine while we're sat on the ground to keep it cool. What I'll do is I'll pull it up quick and then try and dive outside in time for you to see it opening. Oh, all the way up. Oh, no, not quick enough. But essentially it's this flap here, drops it all the way down, and that just allows airflow into the engine, and then we close it up once we're in flight. So now that's done, we can uncover the booster coil. You press that once, close it up again, uncover the engine start. You got to hold this. And there you go, there's that big old Rolls-Royce Merlin engine all fired up. So we can recover that. And that is the Hurricane start complete. Okay, now the engine's running, we can move the power off the power cart into the flight mode. Put it back. That means we're running, the power's running off the engine. Next, we're just going to run up to 16,000 RPM. So gently through the throttle. It is very, very light touch, this. Tiny little movements on the throttle make a huge difference. So once that's done, we're looking for an oil temp of between 60 and 90. So temperatures, that one down there at the bottom. So we're a bit low at the minute, but that's not surprising because we've only just started. So we're not too worried about that. Next, we'll test the mags out. Essentially, to do that, we need to keep an eye on the RPM, and we're looking for a slight drop, and it is a minute drop. So first one off, see it's come off 16, so that can come back on. Let that rise back up. And then number 2. See, it's dropped off 16. So we know both magnetos are working. Throttle back to idle. Next we turn our nav lights on down here. Set flaps for takeoff. Set. You see the flap readout is here, so you where your flaps are. We don't require any oxygen because we're not going above 10,000 feet. We'll leave the canopy open for taxi. Quick check on fuel pressure and oil pressure, both in the mid-range. Well, fuel pressure is actually really low, oil pressure is in the mid-range. oil and radiator temp coming up. Radiator temp will spike. We want to keep that below 120, so you do need to keep an eye on that when you're flying. The Hurricane does not like being at full pelt. It gets very upset about it. So more than most of the others, you've got to really monitor things in flight. So let's just give the engine a run up. Nice and steady through the throttle. Good, and back down again. Okay, we are ready for taxi. Got to watch out for those holes that I mentioned earlier from the bombs around this airfield. There are quite a lot of them. You'll see it once we get into the air, they're all over the place. It's easy to not see them when you're taxiing and end up at the bottom of one. Use the left side of the runway. Quick check before we take off. Mixture and throttle set. Fuel's in reserve tank. No issues with the gauges. Temperatures all look good. Flaps are where we want them. Plenty of fuel for what we're doing today. And we are good to go. So, a bit of back pressure on the stick. So for the takeoff, back gently on the stick as we do with the tail draggers. Gently through the throttle, park and brake off. Pretty much takes it off itself, don't have to do much. There we go, positive climb, gear up. Green lights have gone out straight away. Waiting for the reds. There's the reds, good. Flaps up. Confirm flaps up. Can now get the canopy closed. Nav lights can come off. The nav light controls everything on this. It's one switch for taxi, takeoff and navigation, so we'll just turn them all off. And now that we're nicely airborne, we can close the radiator flap, so that stops all that airflow getting sucked into the back of the engine. And then we can take our RPM pitch lever down slightly just to save the engine. Doesn't have to be too much. Reduce the throttle. Continue to climb 2,000 feet. 200 feet, sorry, per minute, and then switch the fuel over to the main tank, and that's as done. Takeoff complete and successful. Okay, so we'll just start a left-hand circuit, head back towards the airfield. We'll run it through a few manoeuvres, and then we'll meet up with a wingman and hopefully pick up on a heavy coming in and escort them in for landing. There's the runway there. Just make sure we're still climbing. Once it's in flight, it is quite an easy one to fly, to be fair, as long as you keep an eye on everything. Like, for example, our oil temperature is pretty high at the minute. Just keep our eye on that. Lovely evening in the north of France tonight. Still gaining 100 feet a minute. Get her up to about 4,000 feet, and then I'll sling her around a little bit. No, actually, I think that cloud layer might be about 4,000. So I'll tell you what, let's rethink that. Let's pull away now before we get caught up in this cloud. So we'll throttle up. Oh. Increase pitch first, and then throttle up. See how she does in a high G turn. Very well, that is not causing it any problems whatsoever. Gone a bit too far there. Round to the right. And just try and stay orientated to the runway if we can. Right, we'll just build our speed back up. We'll try a roll. Not bad, come off centre a little bit, but roll rate's reasonable. Bring her back round so we don't get too far from the airfield. Oh, gone way too far there. Just in the sunlight there. Right. Let's line up on the airfield and we'll use that as our linear marker for a loop. Just come off the throttle a little bit until we're in position. Okay, good there. Hang a right. We'll go for an Immelman, so a loop with a roll off the top. Fully on the throttle. Line her up. Line up nicely. Nose down. Build up the speed. Hopefully before we run out of altitude. 250, that'll do. And look over the top, meet the horizon, roll. Yeah, it's a bit wallowy with the when it comes to the roll, but the loop's good. Okay. Come back on the throttle. That's all the basic manoeuvres. Yeah, not too bad. I'd say it's a bit wallowy in the roll, but other than that, very high turn rate and pretty good on the loop. So let's head out to the coast and meet our wingman, who should have taken off by now. So we're going to head out to the coast, pick up our wingman, and then we'll hopefully go and find a heavy and bring him in. So he should have taken off by now. So if we look around, hopefully he'll be around here somewhere. Oh, there he is. He snuck up on us. Good lad, staying in nice and tight. That's what we like to see. Let's pop outside then. Try and fly it backwards. For all its little niggles, and it does have quite a few little niggles, it is gorgeous. I'll give it that. Things that annoy me about it, little glitches. Doesn't like replay mode, which is a pain in the arse when you're making videos, because it's nice to be able to redo each bit in a different camera angle. Doesn't like replay mode at all. Tried to replay the takeoff and it bent the props. Second time I did it, turned the landing lights on, wouldn't turn them off. And then when I tried to do it for the acrobatics, it dropped the gear. Which are minor niggles, but very irritating. Oh, I do like that engine distortion. That's cool. That's very cool. Yeah, I like that a lot. Pop in and check on the temperatures. Everything's looking good. Spin around and see if we can find this heavy. Yeah, so several little niggles with it, but at the same time it's a great deal of fun and it's really pretty to look at. That Merlin engine does sound good. So if we head to the inlet, stay back on the outside. In fact, you can't. That cloud is just perfectly in the way, but there's an inlet just behind that cloud. We'll pick up a Lancaster somewhere around there, escort him in past. There's a large city just over there, and then we'll drop him off at the runway. Proper concrete runway there for him. And then we'll return back to base and see what this is like to land. See what this looks like in a roll from the outside. The wingman's a bit close to be doing this, but there we go. Right, you can see that inlet now. There it is. So right, we'll keep our eye out now. RPM's a bit high, we want to drop that down to about 26 really. optimise our oil pressure. Sitting a little bit high. We'll throttle back, that should fix it. Okay, eyes about, looking for a Lancaster. And there he is, as if by magic. He's formed into position. And me and my wingman are either side of him to give him protection as he runs in. There are quite a lot of glitches with this. It's rather fiddly. If you try and run anything else at all, like the airshow assistant or the replay tool, that really doesn't like it. There's the runway for the bomber. All nice and lit up for him. So we'll break away now and leave him to it. Start heading back to base before we run out of sunlight. The sun is going down rapidly, very early as well. So it shouldn't take us long to see our airfield. That's if the clouds stay out of the way. I'll have to dip down underneath these. So we'll come right back off the throttle. In case that runway sneaks up on us. Well, these are really low actually. Okay, got visual on the runway there, off our 1 o'clock. So we're still carrying a lot of speed, doing 250 miles an hour. So we'll slow it right down. It's good, down to 160 already. There's 150. We'll start to level out on the throttle. Good, hold it there. Okay, so landing checks. Canopy open. I think I may have locked that by accident. There we go. Nav lights to the on position. On. Flaps set for landing. And below 140, gear down. Red light's gone out. Just waiting for the green. Green light, confirmation, gear down. And a little bit more flaps. 120 miles per hour. Start our turn in for final. And hold it around 120 until we're lined up. Touch more flaps. Runway looks clear. You hear the engine starts to cough and splutter around 100 100 miles per hour. And flaps to landing, 90 miles per hour. There you go, you hear that coughing. 80 over the runway. Idle. And pull back on the stick, gentle braking to make sure we don't go nose first. Oop. There we go, parking brake back back on. We won't worry about clearing the runway. Now, because we can't cut the mixture, makes no difference. As soon as we cut it, it drops back to rich. If we pull the pitch control back, it will start to slow, but it takes ages. So the quickest way to kill the engine is to switch the fuel to the off position, and it dies almost instantly. There we go. So that is the Hawker Hurricane. It's a bit of a mixed bag. I like it. It's fun. It's a lot of fun to fly, and it's absolutely stunning. Quite a few little glitches with it. You know, if you compare it to like the flying iron, the quality of the flying irons, it's not that standard. But on the flip side, it's a lot better than some of the cheaper, like the Asbo ones and stuff, the original Microsoft ones. So it's a nice in-between level. It's a little bit like the P50. In fact, it could be, I think it's even made by the same people. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it is. Which explains why they're similar qualities. The P51 Mustang. But yeah, it's worthy of inclusion into my hangar. Thanks very much, and see you on the next one. Just a couple of bits I want to show you. This is the manual that comes with it. It is very good. I mean, it's got so much information in it. All the different models, cockpit configurations. It is very impressive. I'll give them that. Very, very good. And that comes with it. And this as well, an original pilot's manual, which is pretty cool. You don't get this on all of them when it loads. Here we go. The original pilot's manual. How cool is that? I mean, it's got quite a lot of information in it, as you can see. But very interesting. Let's have a little snippet of it, shall we? Oh no, that's boring. Jacking and lifting points. We're not interested in that. Give us something interesting. Compression leg. Warning, it is extremely important to note that the air pressure must be released before attempting any dismantling operations. Failure to observe these precautions may result in a serious accident. There you go. Wow, that is a huge document. Blimey. There you go. So there you two your manuals that you get with it.